Public Q&A presents Ask Reddit question. What did a crush do that made you instantly lose interest in him/her? She asked me to prom. I said yeah. 2 days before prom, I actually don't want to go with you, but I already bought both of our tickets. As the guy, I expect you to pay me back for them. I tried to explain that's not how transactions work. She kept telling me it was my responsibility. I asked if she was smoking crack. Never heard from her again. Feels like what she really asked to start was hey buy me and some other guy prom tickets. He threw my sister's birthday card for our mom out of the car's window as a joke, even though my sis told him she spent 6 hours making it. He made my sister cry. Edit, I too would have liked to throw him out of the window, but we were young at that time, coming home from school, and a driver was set to pick the three of us. I did ask the driver to stop the car, but it was the middle of the road, so he said we can't. That's not a joke, he's just an asshole. He said that he doesn't like ugly people, and they all should die or be put in a corner. Not me but my wife before we met. There was an event in Salt Lake City, and she was from Northern Washington. She had a crush on this guy and decided to join carpooling with him and couple other people. They stopped to grab some fast food and went back on their way. Well, as soon as he finished eating/drinking, he tossed the whole bag out the window while driving. After that, she barely talked to him, and once they got to SLC she left him and joined some other friends and went back home with them instead. A long road trip is one of those things that should be mandatory before marrying someone. Told me about his stash of kiddie porn. Yes, I did report it. Wait, what? He went through a phase, he called it, where he really just wanted to diddle kitties. It was horrifying and gross. I did call the cops. A month later, they confiscated his cell phone, laptop and desktop. Before they could press charges, he fled the country. I literally have no idea where he is now. As of 2018, the last time I ever heard from anyone associated with him, he was in Europe. I haven't bothered to look into it since. All I can say for sure is that I didn't just dodge a bullet with that guy, I freaking avoided an atom bomb. Edit, I do remember now, it might have been closer to 2 months, because it was just starting to become pumpkin spice season when this went down, and it was after Thanksgiving when his roommate called to let me know he left. Sorry, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. He was an ass to our teacher because he was going to play baseball in college. Looked him up and he's definitely not doing it professionally, and hasn't graduated yet. Edit, I looked him up to see if he was a professional baseball player yet. I like to see if anyone that was good at sports succeeded, and he's kind of bounced around from university to university. Since it's been over 4 years since high school, that's why I threw in that he hadn't graduated yet. Made fun of a chick who was into him for being chubby. He was fluffy himself, and I called him on it and walked away from that. Dang, how fucking much of a fuck-up do you have to be to manage to have 2 girls into you, and then go on to piss them both off at the same time? He drove like an idiot while I was in the car. I literally thought he was going to kill us, and he was road raging the whole time. This was on the highway too. I asked him to stop driving like that and he didn't. Never going out with him again. Same thing happened to me. Driving home from our first date, I wasn't talking much because the date had gone poorly, and I felt uncomfortable. He got mad at me for being too quiet, and pretended to fall asleep at the wheel. Leaned back in the chair, folded his arms, and closed his eyes. We were on the highway going at least 85. I had to grab the wheel to keep us from swerving. He ran a few reds once we got to my town too. Very unpleasant experience. A few things, she told me she hated how much guys share their feelings/emotions now. She said that if she dates someone she wants them to be a typical man, and not show any type of weakness. One of those things like, I don't want to hear if a man is sad or upset, I just don't care. She liked pretty heavy music. Like prog metal and hardcore music, which is cool. However, she didn't like anything else, and would blatantly put down any other type of music and slash or not give it a chance. Almost made you feel stupid for liking anything else. Showed her a friend's artwork and her response was, yeah, not impressive, it would be impressive if they did X and Y. Like, I understand that you don't have to like every person's art, but her demeanor about it was too condescending. Edit, didn't realize this comment would get as big as it did. TBH, I have no hard feelings to her, we moved on, it's okay. And for sure, I don't think it's representative of all women. People have their own preferences, what she liked just wasn't my thing. Went on a date with a guy to a Chinese restaurant, and as we were leaving he threw trash on the ground when there was a trash can a few feet away. Then we went to his house to watch a movie, and he picked his cat up by the scruff of its neck and threw it. Not a set it down to get it off the counter kinda thing, but a legit throw across the room. I left right then and there and told him why. He called me a bitch and a tease, for whatever reason, never gave him the impression I was going to sleep with him that night, and was yelling at me as I was backing my car out of his drive. I got to the end of his road and blocked his number. Hey, we still good for tomorrow? Sorry, my boyfriend wants to come over. Great way to find out she both forgot about our plans and had a boyfriend. They poked fun at my mom. Going to a primarily white school, him and a group of his guy friends always made fun of how she dressed and how short she was. I didn't super know him, but he was a part of the group that did, and that's all I needed to know. My mom is this sweet, short Asian woman who loves to smile, and yes, she sometimes wears goofy clothing, but no one makes fun of my mama. No one. Told me she has a crush on my brother. I am sorry, Luigi. It just wasn't meant to be. Your princess is in another castle. Your tower belongs in another princess. My brother and I look exactly the same, it's difficult even for our parents to tell us apart. One day this girl came up to me after seeing my bro and said he's cute. I mentioned we look the same, she said I'm ugly. This is me as well. My brother and I look incredibly similar in the face, but I'm sicklier and more asymmetrical from having a lot of medical problems as a kid. The difference in attractiveness ends up being monumental based on the small details. We're extremely similar as people as well, and yet most girls find him good looking, while most girls find me weird looking. Crush on a girl my junior year of college. She liked to heavily make fun of people, and I mean hard. Like to the point I would say hi to someone I knew. After we walked off, she would have some remark. She went from attractive to not wanting to be around her really quickly. I had a crush on the girl who lived across the street from me, who I had already been friends with for years. Once we were teenagers, she learned a new skill: how to cut real deep with words, like slicing your calf muscle with words. Holy shit, this girl could make your depression go into overdrive with a single sentence, and she got a lot of practice. You forget to ask her how her favorite show was the day after a new episode aired, and she'd go over every sensitive subject you have. When she told me the day of my grandfather's funeral that my grandfather only died to get away from me, that's when I finally told her to go fuck herself, and that's when I learned that she can dish it but can't take it. She started posting videos of her making out with drunk old men to her Snap. We're both in college. This guy that I'd been talking to for a while on Tinder, who I thought was cool/cute, but he never seemed down to meet up. One time he randomly messaged me to say he'd gone over to someone's place, and they'd had sex 3 times. I think he was trying to make me jealous, but it just made me feel a bit gross. I've never understood this. If you're trying to make someone jealous, which let's face it you shouldn't be doing anyway, go with something simple like someone was flirting hard with me, and I kind of enjoyed it. Basically saying hey I am into you but met this chick/guy and we banged would just make me think okay, so they aren't that into me then and gross, you can have them then I am fucking out. Those are the same guys who are so insecure with themselves, they'll make sure their friends know if they got lucky with some exaggerated details. I had similar. I had known this guy for a few weeks and finally had a date at his to cook me dinner. Texted him a couple days before to say hi, and asked him how his day was. He told me it was great because he had morning sex, then a good day at work, then a date and sex with a totally different person. On the one hand, thanks for making it easy for me to dump you, and on the other hand, maybe work on not being a 100% asshole. Edit, this was IRL and talking for a little over a month, so not it's Tinder and just for sex situation. It's just always super painful to learn about when people you are/were pursuing have sex with others. Even if it's someone that you're already over, the fact that they fuck other people just puts such weird thoughts in your mind. My friend started dating my ex. She had him ask me for a condom once at a party, knowing I didn't carry condoms since we had just finished dating for several months. We are no longer friends. Fuck people like that. Was crushing on this girl for fucking months, and it turns out at her last apartment she stole $1,500 for coke, and abruptly ended the lease giving her 2 roommates barely any time at all to find new housing, one of which had to move back in with their abusive mother. Dodged a bullet. Found out she was a cousin. We were in class together, and it was all a pure coincidence. Neither of us had any idea until a family member casually mentioned to me, doesn't her name go to your school? Well, crap. I grew up in a small town, and one of my friends was related to everybody. In middle school he told his mother about the new girl he was seeing, and she had to break the news to him that he was dating his second cousin. Same, grew up in a small town and came from a big family. Anytime someone asked me out I asked what their mom's maiden name was as well as their grandmother's because there was like a 95% chance we were related. I have roughly 200 plus first and second cousins. Dating was a fucking shit show to say the least. Fucking shit show, that's how you ended up with so many cousins in the first place. She fucked my dad. Best to not crush on your mom anyways. Better fuck her dad to assert dominance. Found out he was a serial cheater and cheated on his exes with strippers and masseuses. Edit, just to clarify, he had sex with them. Some people in the comments didn't quite get it. I see we've dated the same man. We were 5, had planned to marry when we got older with a pancake cake and everything. I was invited to his birthday party and he and his friend was climbing a tree with him being higher up. Suddenly he pees down on his friend. We never got married. A pancake wedding cake. Brilliant. I wish I had read this before I got married. Legendary 5-year-old move. In his defense, people tend to grow out of stuff like that. Or it turns into a fetish. Acting like a complete dickhead, and when I addressed it he said I know I am an asshole, but I am really sexy like. Okay, suddenly, you're really not sexy at all. LOL sounds like something I'd say to my girlfriend ironically for a cheap laugh. If only he was being ironic, alas, he was not. You shouldn't play Dungeons and Dragons, you know. When you cast the spells in the game, you're actually casting them in your spirit, and that lets the devil get into you. I was like, wait. And I am supposed to be the one who can't tell reality from fiction. You're telling me I wasted 3 years in high school learning Spanish instead of just casting comprehend languages? Nah, spending the skill point to pick up a language is worth it. Save the spell slot for more explosions. Got someone pregnant. I am going to guess it wasn't you who he got pregnant. He tossed an empty drink bottle onto a random lawn as we walked down the street. I went on a date with a guy and he stuck his gum under the table at a bar. WTF. We were in our early 20s and out of college, working at adult jobs, and this motherfucker couldn't even grab a napkin. Who does that? I was driving with a girl that I liked. We went through the drive-thru and then sat and ate in the car. After she was done, she threw all the packaging out the window. I dropped her off at home and never spoke with her again. Littering is one of the things that I just cannot forgive a person for. It's so unnecessarily and gross. It would be an instant friendship/relationship ender. Oh man, that just pulled up a memory of a guy I was on a date with who keyed a random person's car for no reason as we were walking along. Awful. Edit, wow, I didn't expect all the upvotes and replies. Yikes. So, this happened about 25 years ago. I was a teen and didn't have a cell phone. I also was in an unfamiliar city. In retrospect, it was incredibly stupid of me to be in the situation I was in. He apologized for it. Why did he apologize to me? He was a stupid teen too, I guess, so I didn't report him, but I also did not go on another date with him. I feel bad for whoever's car that was, but I really didn't know what to do about it until it was too late. It didn't even occur to me that he was trying to impress me. Maybe that's why he apologized. Because it didn't work. I think he honestly regretted it. What the fuck? What a dick. Going for the I am a bad boy look. It's almost comical. It sounds like teenage boys trying to do things that would impress them. I worked up the courage to ask this girl to go on a date. She said yes. On the date, she proceeded to spend the whole time gossiping about anyone and everyone she could talk bad about. I still remember the moment it clicked that she was just super shallow and mean. It's a bit different, but I had a moment when I was younger, maybe 15 or so, when I realized that my mom was like this. Anytime she could talk shit about someone, she would, and no one would be safe. It would be especially bad at family dinners, almost like her only topic of conversation was talking bad about someone. This was when I realized that I'd probably be reducing contact with her once I'd moved out. Not my crush, but someone who had a crush on me, or so I was told. She asked for my birthday, and I told her. She then calculated that I was younger than her by a week or so and straight up said to me I did have a crush on a guy, but then I found out he was younger than me, so now there's not crush, damn dude. LOL. What a dumb reason. My husband is 8 months younger than me, but born the same year. I love making cradle-robbing jokes and telling him to respect his elders. He loves making old lady jokes. It's stupid, but it's fun to us. My fiancé is a few months older than me, her sister is older than her husband, and their mom is older than their dad. There are many jokes made about the women in the family going after younger men. Threw rocks at a cat because she thought it was funny. That's no way to show appreciation to a funny cat. Dude, she knocked over my Lego Death Star, she had to go. Rebel scum. The ultimate sin. Used a baby voice when speaking to me. Ah, who's a good little girl, huh? Is it you? I bet it is. Here, a candy. Yay. I will snap your neck like a twig. We were out drinking. He got drunk and started fighting a guy that he thought had been harassing me. The guy said he didn't harass me. I said he didn't harass me. My crush still tried to defend me. Never lost interest faster. Tortured a housefly and gave an oral book report trashing my favorite book, at the time, for being boring and having too many words. Then started bragging he could have any girl in the school he wanted. Shortest crush of my life. And he's a liar, since we know now there's at least one girl in the school he couldn't have. Here's a light-hearted one. I developed my first crush when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. This was right around the time when Pokemon were first becoming really popular, so naturally I was obsessed with them. I had the cards, the Game Boy games, etc. One day I overheard the girl I had a crush on talking to her friends at recess about how weird Pokemon were, and thus in a flash a young love was extinguished. Fast forward about 22 years and my wife also doesn't like Pokemon because life is strange. Divorce her/s. Our/relationship advice leaking. Yeah, she doesn't like Pokemon. Sounds to me like they don't share enough of the same interests, and that she probably doesn't even care that he loves Pokemon. My suggestion is to run from this evil woman and never look back. I had a crush on a guy in 5th grade. He found out about my crush and made a really hateful nickname for me and teased me about my body. Got all of his friends to tease me too. Realizing he was a garbage person set me straight pretty quickly. Same thing happened to me, 8th grade. Ugh. He was mean to his mom. Demanded money from her so we could go out, in front of me, and then called his grandma to get some more money so we could go out. So uncomfortable. Edit. Let me add more details. We were both around 21-20 seconds. I met this person, drove from the Midwest to Dallas with him, and was essentially stuck there for 2 days before my train was scheduled to leave. This behavior was not acceptable at all, and I felt uncomfortable the entire time. I hope he wasn't more than 15. We were both like 21. Cringe. Not something that she did, but her breath smelled like shit, literally like shit. My brother from another mother had this problem. He couldn't understand why girls weren't interested in him. Never took hygiene seriously until his mid-20s. Because he never brushed his teeth, he developed an abscess tooth and let it fester. Customers started complaining, and he was sent home from work until he got it fixed. The entire time I drove him to the dentist, I made him stick his head out the open window. It smelled terrible. Dentist gave him a good talking to about how his bad teeth could affect his heart. Soon after, he started showering and brushing his teeth every day. He didn't shower or brush his teeth, and he expected women to be like, "Oh, that's what I like." Based on how many "am I the asshole" posts I see from women who ask, "Am I the asshole for asking my boyfriend to have basic hygiene? How do I ask him to brush his teeth and wipe his ass daily without hurting his feelings?" You would be shocked as to how much women will tolerate. Bad teeth could affect his heart, true health fact that too few people know. Sometimes, even if you brush really good, if you have an infected tooth, that smell just isn't going away until you fix the tooth. I had this problem until I had my tooth yanked recently. I remember having an infected tooth removed, and the smell was so horrible. I didn't realize how bad it was until the dentist disrupted the tooth. I am guessing it had smelled pretty bad before that too, and I just didn't notice. A lot of people go nose blind to smells in their houses. I imagine it's the same for your own breath. Did you tell her that? Probably needs to brush her tongue more. Could be tonsil stones too. I get these and it sucks. All the dental hygiene in the world doesn't help. The first time I coughed one of these bad boys up and smelled it, I did an internet search for why did I cough up poop? Or drink more water. Dehydration causes bad breath too, and now amount of brushing helps. Maybe she has ulcer. Big Ed, eye mouth eye. No neck Ed. Rejected me. Don't keep trying when you know it's pointless, guys. Honestly, best response/advice. If I could go back in time and give my former self life advice, it would be this. Take your shot. If it doesn't happen, move on. I had been seeing this girl for 2 months in college and things were going all right. I was helping her move when she decided it was the moment to have a serious talk. She sat me down and in a very serious tone told me she had been doing some digging. She confronted me with the fact that I had dated black women. I kind of thought it was a joke at first. I guess my brain couldn't comprehend that this was still a thing. No, she was dead serious and explained to me that while she had nothing against black people, she didn't believe in mixing races. I was dumbfounded. I got up and walked out. Got in his car for a date, and he rolled down his window and threw about 5 fast food cups out on the side of the road. Made a comment about there being enough illegals around to clean up after him. Nope. I misunderstood a comment, and he was a dick about it in front of a few people. Laughing at my instead of kindly correcting me. What a fuckhead. Humiliation, especially to impress others, is a bad sign. My ex-husband was like that. Any misunderstanding or asking a question for clarification was met with laughter and mocking. He even got his mom in on it. That shit wears you down so fast. By the time we were going through our divorce, I was convinced I was a total idiotic fuck-up who couldn't do anything right. I was home at my parents' house, and I did something really small. I can't remember exactly what, but it was like I spilled a bit of water or dropped a towel. I said I'm such an idiot. I can't believe how dumb I am. My mom looked at me strangely and said, "No, you're not." Why would you say that? It took lots of therapy and time to recognize and accept I'm not an idiot, but being told time and time again that I started to truly believe it. That's a very long way of saying good for you for getting out of that situation, and yes, he was a fuckhead. Edit, holy smokes. Thank you everyone for the kind words. They have completely made my day. Heavy black heart. Glad you dumped that toxic waste, you're an amazing person for doing so. Hope you're in a great place in life now. It was a teenage crush. He had multiple girlfriends, who didn't know about each other. Disloyalty is not cool. Reminds me of that Chinese guy who had an accident and all of girlfriends, 13 I think, showed up at the hospital without knowing each other. Edit, it was 17, here is the source. Yet cheating is bad and all, but when are we allowed to be impressed? 13 girlfriends would be a full-time job even if it wasn't done secretly. It honestly sounds unenjoyable. One of my friends had a boyfriend who had another girlfriend at daytime and her at night. One girl he told he worked nights, and the other he told he worked days. So he would leave at night to go to my friend, and then leave at day to go to the other girl. He was literally living 2 lives, LMAO. Did he actually work at all, or was it all just mooching off the girls? Nope, just lived off both of them. It was kinda ridiculous. He even had kids with both of them. When did this dude sleep? I am not sure, LOL, but I would think that he would leave the daytime girl and say gotta go to work, then show up to nighttime girl and say oh work was tough today or some BS, then go to bed. Did the absolute right thing. There was this guy in our class who tried to convince other people when cheating is okay. What were his arguments? LOL. Must have been some serious mental gymnastics. Cheating feels good in the moment for both parties, a win-win, unless the person you're cheating on gets upset. Thus, as long as that person isn't upset, perhaps because you hide it from them, it increases the net happiness in the world and is therefore for the greater good/s. A mix between sudden and extreme explosive road rage and a misogynistic rant that came out of nowhere. He's an ex now, but he's gotten worse. Showed his true colors obviously. He asked me to help him hook up with my best friend. Edit, continuation. At that time, I thought he was indirectly rejecting me and asking for my friend's number at the same time. 2 birds with 1 stone, you know. Well, I asked my friend if she liked him, and she said yes, so I became the matchmaker. They dated for like 3 months and broke up. The guy later told me she wasn't what he expected her to be. He also told me some of his friends liked me, and he didn't wanted to be a part of some manly fight. Well, we became good friends. I still had a little crush on him, but I had to change schools, so I hid it, and we parted 5 years ago. I am still wondering what he is doing right now. It was a bittersweet crush. I bet he knew I still had a crush on him. Oh, that hurts. What kind of a guy you like? Your friend Alex. He is perfect, haha, yeah he is. He thinks we look great together. Is he single? Yeah, but I don't see how this. I love him. Pay the bill. My interest was waning because he would brag about how he didn't read or see any point to reading. I thought I could maybe change his mind, but was on the fence about if it was worth it or not to try. Then I drove past him parked a street or two over from his place, just sitting in his truck, smoking. Thought that was kind of weird, but NDB. Except when I asked him about it later, he lied and said he was at work on the other side of town, and besides, he didn't even smoke anyway. Helped me decide he wasn't worth any effort after all, interest gone. Edit, I guess I should give more context. I was in grad school at the time, loved reading and learning, worked in a library, and was planning on becoming a teacher. I felt like he'd probably had a bad experience with reading growing up, so maybe I could help him and bring him around. It's not that he just disliked reading, he was against reading. Like, 80s movie bully reading is for nerds guy. That's so foreign to me that I didn't really think he was serious at first. Beyond that, we had multiple conversations about smoking and he'd told me, unprompted, that he didn't smoke, hated smoking, etc. Then he lied about it later. Looking back, the whole thing was shifty and a bad fit. I am not sure how I stayed interested as long as I did. Just because I enjoy the company of kids and babies, she told me that I was a creep and a pedophile. Just because I love having kids around doesn't mean I want to have sex with them. She asked me if I wanted to go to a concert with her, then she wanted me to pay for both tickets that I knew she got for free. Promptly laughed at her and told her she can fuck off with some other idiot. It's funny how fast the ugliness on the inside can overcome anything good on the outside. She did me a favor that day. If you invite someone and tell them to pay not only their part but yours too, there's something wrong. Especially if they were free in the first place. It's literally a scam at that point, rather than just being rude. My friend used to have a crush on this guy, but one day, when he was out with her along with a couple of friends, he stole tips off the bar counter and offered her food with it. She refused. Good on you for standing up for yourself. Some would have bought themselves down just to have a chance. Seriously though, how can she ask him to pay for both? LOL. That's absurd. Don't ever underestimate how scummy people can be in general. I met my future wife shortly after that and could not be happier. This was around 15 years ago. I can't imagine where I'd be if I actually pursued her further. Alcohol and cigarettes. We were 13 back then. She saw an Aria in the cleaner's dustpan, picked it up and ate it. That's called being resourceful. Sounds like a keeper to me. Seriously, she'll do that thing you like. And for a dustpan Aria, no less. We are 8 or so and he asked for a pen. So I gave him mine. He chewed on it, instant turn off. What about 8-year-olds who smell those weird fruity smelling erasers and try to eat them? Told her I liked her, then she blocked me on all social media, and bullied me harshly whenever she saw me. Ouch. Edit, Jesus Christ, this did better than I expected. I'm reading everyone's comments, and the thing someone offered to help me with is flatten her tires. I'm in. That was a joke, please don't do that. Yikes. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I don't understand people who do that, like take the compliment and move on. Bully me to depression. You all right there? It was years ago, so I am better now, but it did leave me super jaded and prone to mistrust. Aw, sorry to hear you got those things from it, but always remember there are people out there who are honest and trustworthy. Accuse me of cheating because I had female friends. Some guy I went out with kept trying to convince me to sleep with him even after repeatedly telling him no. Some people just can't take no for an answer. TW animal abuse. He'd constantly hit his cat in front of me and scare him on purpose. Poor baby had bladder problems and would get hit every time he had an accident. She was going to a party, and I said, "You seem pretty unenthusiastic about going." She replied with, "Don't use big words." Unenthusiastic. 14 letters. She was right, man, that's not a small word. Very long word, he should have rather used blasé instead. Phlegmatic. Especially given she was apathetic about it. Dear diary, mood, apathetic. I don't blame her for her reticence. Okay, you seem big sad, no want go. Which one of you wants to be next to make a reference to The Office? Long distance, only online crush/boyfriend. We were playing a modified RPG in the early 2010s, and we made the horrible mistake of playing versions of ourselves, same names, ages, etc. Lots of shit happened, but the thing that really made me feel like shit was when I felt like a third wheel with him and his best bro. We were playing in a survival setting, so we would delegate chores to make sure we had supplies, fuel, ammo, etc. By the end of each day, every time my boyfriend would choose to go with his guy friend for things. I didn't mind the first couple of times, but I did kinda want a day where the two of us hung out, since, again, this was a LD relationship, never happened. The one time I forced the issue and said I was coming along to hunt or something, they just ignored me and did their usual thing. Joke's on me, though. Turns out boyfriend was deep in the closet, and hanging out with his guy friend in game was him living out his fantasy of having a boyfriend. Didn't defend me when his friends tried to assault me, just laughed with them. This is the long version of the story. I have never been popular, was always bullied and stuff. One of the things people told me was that I was a prude, because I never had a boyfriend at that point. Apparently, some of my classmates got inspired by that and started a bet. Whoever could do me in, a slang word in my language that can mean anything from making out to sex, would win. Every contestant put in a certain amount of money. At the height of the contest it was about €100, that would be their prize. All of a sudden, I was invited to popular parties, people tried to make me drink, random people started talking to me, flirting, groping. More and more people became aware of the bet, so even people I'd never talked to or who were complete strangers to me started to hit me up. It was weird, I was still in the dark about the bet, and I didn't get why some guys, sometimes even girls, wanted to hang out with me or wanted to see me drink. Luckily for me I don't drink, but it was all very uncomfortable. My crush and I went on a school trip together with the rest of our year, and all of a sudden things get out of hand. People groping me now, the supervision of the teachers is half gone, people trying to ask me if I ever kissed someone. The most scary experience was when a couple of guys cornered me in the park and told me, very detailed, how they wanted to have sex with me. Some of them were my classmates, some of them were friends of my crush, one of them was my crush. You can imagine how scared I was as a 15-year-old, no adults in sight, only me and these 10-16-year-olds. I was hoping my crush would defend me, he was a nice guy, never laid a hand on anybody, always friendly. But he just laughed. They were telling me how they would rape me and he laughed. It took 2 more months before another girl had the courage to tell me what was going on. She used the word do in, and I was too flustered to ask if she meant the light version or all the way. When I told the teachers about the bet, about all the people who were involved, about how no one told me anything about it, not even the girls, they told me I had no proof, was imagining things again, and that boys will be boys with hormones, what can we do about that? It all stopped when I got a boyfriend that very summer, who was 5 years older than me, and would later turn out to be an abuser. He looked like he was 30 though, so I guess most of the guys got too scared to lay a hand on me. But yeah, that's how my crush lost my interest. What the fuck, that's just wrong. A Bond villain calls out this kind of behavior in Casino Royale. He's cornered the man who owes him money, grabs that man's girlfriend, and swings a machete at her arm, as if he's going to chop it off. But the man doesn't scream. The villain turns to the terrified girl and says, not a word of protest. You need to get a better boyfriend. What's also great about that scene is that the boyfriend, L.E. Chiffer Mads Mikkelsen, was the main Bond villain. It really shows you what kind of man he was and sets up the main story beats of the movie quite well. Happened to me with my ex-boyfriend. His friend would grab and slap my ass/tits, or tell me to leave my ex for him, in front of my ex. Or that he would take me in the back room to fuck me. Ex never said a word, just laughed along. But then I moved away for college, and he always accused me of cheating or something along those lines. Really fucked me up. I hope everything is well, and I am glad he's your ex. That's a really bad boyfriend with not so nice friends. Thank you, I'm much better now. It's been 2 years and my current boyfriend has worked with me and encouraged me to go to therapy. Things are better now than they have been in a long time. I finally feel content, you know. Thank you for your kindness. Told me that while he thought I wasn't dumb, that I couldn't be smarter than him because I was female and a few months younger. Our test scores, entrance exams, and work history later determined that that was a lie. Get involved with a cheater. Move to a different school. My girlfriend always went to a different school too. Like every day. Yes, she was starting to run out of new schools by the end of senior year. This is a serious response. He threatened to kill me and himself if I broke up with him. We were alone in the house, and he was having some sort of episode where he spaced out, became robotic, and dissociated. This made him act very slow and lethargic. He had mental issues. I grabbed my stuff and ran. Never saw him again, but I know he was hospitalized. I am married now, and he hasn't contacted me since. I actually hope he's doing better. Hopefully your ex has gotten the help he needs and really happy that you have gotten out of it and really happy now. Smoking. My folks both smoked and died from lung cancer. Saw it coming as a kid. Complete turn off and buzzkill. My father smoked in the house while I was growing up. Everything smelled like cigarettes. He ended up dying from COPD. I promised myself I'd never date someone who smoked. My now wife was a smoker for years before we met. She quit within a month of meeting me, without me ever talking to her about my feelings regarding cigarettes. I never even saw her with a cigarette in her hand. After meeting me, she just took it upon herself to quit. 10 years later, she still doesn't smoke. ETA, corrected spelling. She referred to Mexicans as wetbacks look white. What she didn't know is that I am part Mexican. Racism of any kind towards anyone is an instant turn off. Asterisk edit, changed webacks to wetbacks and added an important detail. I live in a small town that is 70% Mexican. I also coach youth soccer. I once coached some 10 and under kids. There were maybe 3 white kids out of 15 on the team. I usually let the team decide their mascot. These kids wanted to be called the Beaners. I refused. Also tried to use it as a teaching moment, but I felt like I was telling African Americans they couldn't use the N-word. Most Mexican people I know, I'm Mexican, think the term Beaner is pretty funny. Racism is not a joke obviously, but the slur being based on a food we all love makes it funny. My dad told me what that word meant many years ago, and he laughed when he said it. Said some guy T-boned his car, after running a red light called him a Beaner. Said it's because we really like frijoles. AM Mexican, never understood the Beaner slur. I mean, sure, I love beans. But I'll be damned if I spend one day without eating a corn tortilla. So maybe the children of the corn. Edit, wow. First gold. Thanks stranger. He wants you, too, Malachi. In the UK, we call the French frogs because frogs' legs is a French delicacy. They call us Brits les Rispiffs. The French call us Americans les Big Macs. Turns out he never bothered to develop a personality, because his looks and sporting prowess carried him through every interaction in his life. I didn't care about sports, so when I finally ended up having a one-on-one chat with him, the guy was a complete void. Couldn't talk about anything. Hadn't even developed the ability to ask questions, because he was all too happy to just be praised and talked about all the time. It was so bizarre. He didn't really know what he liked, had no real opinion on anything outside of sports, didn't have any hobbies, and was generally just dull as dishwater. Edit, so I'm seeing a few responses saying I was possibly dismissive of him and his interests since I dislike sports, or that maybe he was just shy or couldn't really ask questions. No. I've met plenty of people that like stuff that I don't, but their passion for it and their desire to share it with you is what brings you into the conversation. There is a difference between being talked to and talked at. This guy didn't care if I watched or liked basketball, whether I understood the references, whether I'd heard of a player, a coach, or anything. He didn't actually bother, even with the one topic he cared about, to actually include me in the conversation. Also, when I asked him what he did in his downtime, he said he sometimes played video games to distress. I asked which games he loved playing and he said, and I quote, "Honestly mostly anything." No follow-up. Then I asked him about his last basketball game, and he went into chatty Cathy mode again. Rinse and repeat with me asking about movies, TV, art, politics, food, holidays, childhood memories, friends in common, etc., etc. He never asked me a single question the entire conversation, not even "Do you watch basketball?" He was just happy to talk at me about it like I should just enjoy listening to him go on and on about his stats, and his player interactions and his strategies. Edit 2. We were on a coffee date that he asked me out to, so for people saying I was clearly barking up the wrong tree, and he didn't want to talk to me, I'd argue that probably wasn't the case. So he was a NPC. Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Oh, what am I saying? Had a crush on this girl who was dating someone at the time. I was hanging out with her, and she kept checking her phone. Later she announced she was upset because her so hadn't texted her first that day, so they hadn't texted at all. She was building resentment over literally nothing. Useful insight into what a relationship with her might have looked like. We were on a date at Jamie's Italian, and he ordered for me. He got me a salad. She disrespected the food my mom made specially for her. Told me how her cat was sick, so she snapped its neck to put it out of its misery. Yes. The cat was sick. Wow. You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also, you can press the bell icon so you won't miss any future uploads.